I woke up this morning, turned on the old internet, was like, what? Message from Jay Wilson. I got a message from Jay Wilson.
Hey Corvus, quick question. I'm not much of a sump guy and I don't know a lot about refugiums, but I understand the concept. Had a few questions. Chamber 1, Chamber 2, Chamber 3, Freedom 400. Water comes in, hits the socks. Should I put biomedia in here since I won't be using any sort of skimmer or anything like that? This is the compartment number 2. Is this the area the refugium goes? Yes, I believe. What substrate? What plants? Keep in mind, I would like to keep some sort of livestock in here besides plants, but I'm keeping Lake Malawi African cichlids, and I want to make sure that they can thrive under the same water conditions. And then of course the pump goes here. There's a door here. Do I take this door off? Do I add more sponges? Is there anything you recommend other than the light that I will get to put onto this bad boy? I appreciate your help.
All right, we got ourselves a little message from Jay Wilson. We got a call out. He's building a giant cichlid aquarium, not unlike the size of this one. It's got a little bit bigger of a sump, but he's got some questions about the chambers. I think we should dive deep into the old sump here for a minute and give him some ideas, a couple pointers, a couple things I've learned over the years. Hopefully you guys will learn a little bit from this too. In order to dive deep, we gotta go handheld. Are we recording? Oh my God. Okay, so as Jay was asking, first chamber, right? Let's hit the first chamber here. Let's get our finger in the shot. Yeah, fingers in the shot. That's always good, right? Okay, so first chamber here, as you can see, that's the return coming down from the tank. So we've got that coming down. You can see all this bubbles and agitation going on. Currently right now, oxygenation is being handled via the water flow coming from above, right? It comes down, is turbulent through that pipe, and then lands down here in the very first chamber. Now, one thing you guys are gonna notice, obviously, right here, we have a lot of duckweed growing in this tank right now. That's because we're in kind of recovery mode. I had a baby and I've been fertilizing this tank like crazy because I'm trying to get the plants to catch up to the algae that's growing in here. And one of the offsets is that I end up with a lot more duckweed than I normally have down here. Typically I only have about 2 handfuls of duckweed. We got ourselves a little baby Pleco coming into the shot here. Look at that little baby Pleco. Little bristle nose down there. But as you can see, there's a lot of life down in here, from snails to shrimp. We can take a look off to the side here. See all the shrimp living down in there? Well, maybe you can. Let's get the camera in there. There we go. You can see that there's a lot of shrimp, a lot of things going on down in here. Now the first chamber, as you can see, we've got biorings in the first chamber. Lots and lots of biorings. Now I prefer the biorings that come in just this bulk bag here. So I think I get 6 bags of this for like 13 bucks off of Amazon, which there's always links to the storefront down below. You can find this in the storefront down below. Now I have a lot of these down there. I like these bags. It's essentially the same, you know, biorings. This ceramic material works really well for biomedia. You don't have to overcomplicate this stuff, and it shouldn't be expensive. Like I said, I get like 6 bags of this for like 13 bucks, $13.99 I think, so maybe that's 14 bucks, but it should be cheap. A lot of this in the first chamber here, because we're promoting aerobic bacteria in this first chamber right here. That's what we're looking for in the very first chamber. So we have this oxygenated water coming from down above, and it's landing into this biomedia down here, which, as you can see, there's assorted kinds. I'm not really worried about it being one specific type. There are a lot of different types in here, so let's not stress too much about that. Second chamber, let's talk a little bit about the second chamber. And as Jay was asking in his video, he wants to have other organisms living down below. It's pretty much just gonna happen whether you like it or not. There's a huge shrimp colony down here, baby bristlenose plecos, ram's horn snails, amongst other things that are down here. There are actually apistos down here somewhere. Some of the babies ended up down here and they've just become territorial, so I can't get them out. And they seem to like living down here, so that's the deal. Jay's first chamber has filter socks on it. Now, I want to give a warning to everybody out there. This is what filter socks look like after you run them for a little while on a planted aquarium. They're pretty much a disaster. You know, there just isn't, they get completely clogged up, and man, they are a huge pain to clean. So how do I get around this? This actually used to have a filter sock rack on it. You can see right here, there was some acrylic that held in some filter socks, and that's long gone. I got rid of that a long time ago and just went with straight biomedia, because there is particulate that comes down through here. And another reason why I like these bags is that very occasionally I come down here and I rustle up these bags. You know, I can pull up the bags and kind of shake them out, and that heads to my filter material that's right here. This filter material right here I buy in the bulk rolls. So I've got rolls right here. I cut the sheet to fit, and then I slide it in this slot, and I use a piece of Metallo Mat just to hold it in place. So the Metallo Mat is also a great place to harbor some of the anaerobic bacteria, not aerobic, anaerobic, the stuff that doesn't want oxygen and is always, you know, it's always submerged down here. It's a great surface for some of that to grow on, and that's mainly what the second chamber is for. A lot of the oxygen is being used up by the bacteria in the first chamber. Then we're having, if there's opportunity, then anaerobic bacteria is going to be here in the second chamber, and that will just continue the cycle as we go along. Now, like I mentioned, the particulate here and particulate here just surround the third chamber. Now, the third chamber I use as a refugium, but as you can see, I just have plants in here. Like, I just have a ton of plants growing and growing out the top. Now, what plant is this right here? This is Pogostemon stellatus octopus. This is what it looks like when it grows up above the water. That's what it looks like right there. It's pretty cool looking once it's grown up above the water, and I enjoy it quite a bit. I think it's pretty fantastic growing up above the water like that, and it does a real good job of removing nitrates and ammonia and things like that once it's growing up above the water column here. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily want this mess in their refugium. I would recommend them to build a rack like this. You know, it's an acrylic piece, has a lot of holes drilled in it. You can drill whatever size holes you want, and you can insert it in there and set it at whatever level you want. Now, the way that Jay's setting up his tank, he's not going to want any submerged or, you know, fully submerged plants, because he's going to have a cichlid tank. He's going to have really hard water. He's going to be wanting to buffer. So this second chamber right here is going to be really useful for buffering the water also. You know, any kind of crushed coral, any of that kind of stuff you want to have in the second chamber and not in the first chamber. And that's going to be really helpful for Jay's application. You can also see there's plants in every chamber of mine, because this is a fully planted tank. This isn't like a cichlid tank. But what Jay would want to focus on, and what anybody else that's doing cichlids will want to focus on here, is growing plants above water. So there's like pothos, stuff like that will grow in hard water with its roots in the water. Won't really have a problem with that. This actually, Pogostemon will actually do quite well with just its roots in hard water. This Alternanthera that's down here would not do well. Red plants generally don't bode well into that environment. You pretty much want to stick with, you know, sort of the easier plants that are easier in freshwater aquariums, and you'll be pretty good. Now the third chamber here is kind of interesting on mine because I have a CO2 reactor in mine because I want to reinfuse the water with CO2 before it goes up to this big crazy display up here, right? I reinfused that. That's not going to be very useful for Jay's application. But this is the final piece right here that I have that's pulling particulate out of the water column. And I find that just 2 sheets of this actually is plenty to get the job done. All right. I think that's what we call, is that what we call a full-on sump walkthrough? I think it's a pretty decent sump walkthrough. All right, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any complaints, post them down below. Let me know what's going on. Maybe I wasn't thorough enough, maybe the video wasn't good enough. Just let me know. I'll probably shoot another video if anybody feels like they need help. I don't know. Maybe. All right. Like I said, most of the products that I use are posted down below. You'll be able to grab those if you like. If you don't like, you don't have to. Friday shows, I normally answer questions and stuff like that, so you happen to have those, you can post them down below. I'll probably talk about them on a Friday show at some point in time coming up in the near future. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe or something. I'm not sure. Is it like stuff? All right, later.